When it comes to the conversation of what makes a good video game, you will always receive a variety of different answers. Some will tell you that it's impeccable graphics and gameplay, others will say a strong narrative filled with a plethora of characters to match, and a good chunk base an entire game's worth on competitive multiplayer. Then there are gamers like me who won't discriminate, but the games where you're tossed into open waters and are told to either sink or swim resonates with me the most, especially games that do well in this regard. Players are left with nothing, and slowly but surely begin to improve through the various unique experiences one may have with games like these. The Forest, as I've mentioned previously, is one of those particular titles, a game where the entertainment aspect is entirely dependent on what the player does rather than the other way around, allowing the players to control the narrative and how things play out as a result of a non-linear storyline. It's because of this very reason that The Forest does exceptionally well. But what if I told you there's a game out there that takes this characteristic a step further, a game that drags you into deep waters and tests you on both a mental and emotional level? If this sounds like the game for you, then let's dive in on this episode of Prime Reviews. Subnautica is an open-world survival adventure title created by Unknown Worlds Entertainment, a game that's not only breathtakingly beautiful, but also unbelievably melancholic and terrifying at the same time. It takes place during the late 22nd century, where you, the player, take on the role of a nameless human survivor of a spaceship crash landing on an aqueous alien planet called 454-6b, a planet that mostly consists of water, filled with various fictional creatures, vast biomes, and amazing discoveries that await. As far as you know, you're the only survivor of the crash, but over time receive distress signals from other survivors who have crash landed as well. The player must search the planet for survivors, traversing submerged caves and unfathomable depths, discover creatures, and learn their behaviors, as well as gathering ingredients and various machine parts for survival. Players can build their own underwater base with various structures and functionalities, vehicles that can improve movement, distance, and depth, alongside gadgets that increase efficiency in foraging and resource gathering. Like The Forest, Subnautica forces you to go outside of your comfort zone, only in bigger and bolder ways, ones that make The Forest pale in comparison. To start, the detail in the water and waves are to die for, perhaps the most realistic water textures I've seen to date. The sun and moon shine through during day and night cycles, the environments are never static and encourage thorough exploration from the player. The biomes in this game are both equally terrifying as well as unbelievably gorgeous. From safe shallows to ecological dead zones, this game has it all. Some areas are easy to reach, while others are unattainable without the proper equipment and upgrades, such as improved oxygen tanks or deep-sea vehicles. Players must ensure that they have enough food, water, health points, and oxygen, which determine survival and overall time spent below the surface. The creatures are as fantastic in this game as the environments, each with their own behavior patterns, dietary needs, unique defense mechanisms, or means of survival to avoid predators. Players can scan and study each creature, plant, or piece of equipment they come across, adding to the immersion exponentially, while also simultaneously adding to progression. This does involve some reading, but Unknown Worlds makes it all worth it by giving you tips and tricks on how to avoid large predators, or what nutritional benefits smaller edible herbivores can offer the player. The game does exceptionally well in making you feel small and vulnerable when it comes to larger predators, such as Leviathan-class creatures, ones that can appear gargantuan to the player and pose a significant risk. Some make their presence known, while others have a tendency to appear at your most vulnerable point, and sometimes you don't even see them coming. If not predators, then the darker, more sinister environments overall are a thalassophobe's worst nightmare. Subnautica does well in exploiting fears and captivating players, making them feel like their lives are hanging in the balance. The developers specifically designed this game to terrify you, without a doubt, but don't let this deter you from checking out the game. It's a perfect balance of light and dark, making it a well-rounded survival game overall. Crafting is a big part of this game, and is necessary towards progression. You can craft small tools such as flares, scanners, improved oxygen tanks, modifications for your base, the list goes on. Players are also able to craft vehicles as well for convenient excursions and to evade potential predators faster, from a small sea glide to large submarines that double as a mobile base. This game has thought of everything. Not only that, but they make them enjoyable to use and interact with. players can also modify them to improve performance, like increasing hull integrity, defense mechanisms, sonar, storage upgrades, and more. And like The Forest, the story mode is non-linear, chock full of mystery and intrigue. At first, players may interpret this game as a relaxing open-world survival game and nothing more, but over time will realize there's more to it than meets the eye. You can encounter abandoned ancient alien structures, apparitions with cryptic messages, and documents placed throughout the world that are bursting with lore. While it may not be as open-ended as titles like The Forest, the biggest commonality these games share is that both of them encourage the player to control the narrative at their own pace, essentially leaving it up to them to uncover secrets and mysteries on their own, thus tailoring unique experiences for each and every player and increasing replay value. I personally have encountered very few problems with Subnautica, but they exist and definitely need to be improved on. To bring everyone up to speed, the game was once exclusive to PC players and only made itself available on consoles the past few years. While the game generally performs well on PlayStation, there are some small inconsistencies with the various menus you'll use in-game that are beyond tedious. You can clearly tell it was designed for PC players and not console plebs like myself. Crafting, navigating through your notes, recorded messages, inventory, everything that involves the player's PDA feels like a chore. Selecting items from your inventory, and even from the quick slots, are quite inconvenient, especially since your oxygen depletes while you're browsing the menus and the world moves on around you. While some may argue it adds to the challenge, others like myself would say it's incredibly annoying and feels clunky. Another common issue with games as large and expansive as Subnautica would be frame rate and bug-related issues. Though not a deal breaker or a serious problem, it does happen too often for my liking. Some creatures can glitch partially through your base, the frame rate drops from time to time depending on where you are, and there are also exploits that players abuse, either for speedruns or for pure enjoyment. Sometimes you'll find yourself in an inescapable position and have to revert to your previous save point, which is annoying as hell, needless to say. Subnautica is without a doubt one of the most beautiful titles out there to date, one that makes The Forest and similar titles look like complete child's play. It's got stunning visuals and animations, a perfect mix of discovery, horror, and survival as well, alongside a large roster of creatures, tools, vehicles, and beyond. This game certainly has the potential to receive a perfect score, but needs to fix the smaller problems that would ultimately improve the game as a whole. Be that as it may, I encourage everyone to give this title a try. Whether you're an MLG gamer, filthy casual, or a scrub, Subnautica has a little something for everyone. Want to see the gameplay for yourself? Check out Prime Plays on YouTube, link in the description.